Of course, my camera is dying when I sit down and I'm ready for everything. It says, boo, wait, I can't read upside down. Boo cream. Welcome back to my channel. This is Shinoria's Trial and Errors. I'm Shinoria. If you're here from another one of my videos or my first Vlogtober video, go ahead and check that out. Thank you guys for coming back. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I will be doing Vlogtober all month long. Not every single day, but when I can fit the time in. I am wearing pajamas because on Sunday, it is my lounge day. I did manage to put on this very cute t-shirt that I got from the dollar store. Boo. Wait, I can't read upside down. Boo cream? Boo crew. Look what I picked up from the dollar store. So today, instead of just making you guys watch me put together a haunted house, I'm going to be speaking about the Shafia family and the murder of the women in that family. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see any more of my Vlogtober videos. We are going to be talking about the Shafia family and the horrendous and extremely horrific murders that took place against the women in this family. Ooh, this is cute. Comes with like a nice... I was supposed to come with more than that. I guess I just gotta make the best of what I got. The Shafia family. This was a story that was just weird from the beginning. I remember it going around the news. I live in Canada, by the way. I live in Toronto, and this happened in Montreal, but it was all over the news at the time that it happened. And I just remember being like, this story isn't really adding up. You mean to tell me that these 4 women were in the car with the keys in the ignition? The river is not that deep. There was no signs of struggles, of them trying to open up the car door, break the window. None of that. They were all strapped into their seat. Sorry if the lighting isn't very good in here today. It's dark and gloomy outside with a lot of fog. So I guess it really is spooky season. We're gonna start from the beginning of this family, with the most violent one being the husband. Mohammed Shafia moved the family around a lot. So they lived in Afghanistan to Pakistan. Apparently they also lived in Australia for a while and in Dubai, and then they migrated over to Montreal. He was a very successful, or is I should say, because the fucker is still alive in prison. He sold used cars and he was eligible to apply for the Canadian small business immigration program, which he did. He invested $2 million in a small mini mall. Unfortunately, this man was extremely very controlling. Just ask his first wife, who started a diary. We can't ask her because she's dead. God, sorry, that sounded morbid. We cannot ask her because she's passed away. God rest that poor woman's soul in peace. She started a diary which was used in court to reveal the horrors and the truth of what these women were living in. He married his first wife. Unfortunately, she couldn't have kids. What should have been a blessing in disguise. He really should have just divorced her and moved on, but he didn't. She said, you know what? Because you're being so abusive towards me, just take another wife who can give you kids. This is exactly what he did. As you guys can see here, I'm gonna post a picture right here. That's them on their wedding day. And that's her on his other arm over there. This became even a bigger nightmare for her. She thought that she would get relief from him, I guess, marrying someone else. He'd be a happier man. She was wrong. Him and the new wife, Tobua Muhammad, she wasn't really in a better situation herself. She was sold to this old man by her mother. She's unhappy with her life. You know what they say, unhappy people make other people unhappy. As it turns out, she was actually really abusive towards the first wife also. She would hit her and then say, I own you, you're basically my servant. Yeah. Until her kids had to intervene and be like, can you please stop hitting her? I should have said this from the beginning, but who's convicted of the murder is the father Muhammad, shocker there, the second wife Tobia, and his eldest son Hamid. They murdered the first wife and the 3 girls. They were ranging in age of 19, 16, and 13. I should probably also mention that the family had 7 kids in total. So after the eldest son went to prison and they had murdered the 3 girls, the other 3 kids had been put under witness protection and their name is locked up somewhere for their safety. Their identification was never released to the public. After they moved to Montreal, the girls obviously wanted their freedom. They went to school with normal kids who had normal freedom, being able to go out after school, hang with friends, so on and so forth. And the girls wanted boyfriends. The eldest daughter at school, the eldest daughter met a boy that she really liked. Well, he saw her first, he really liked her. He put a note in her locker saying, I want to be your friend and I want to get to know you. If you want to get to know me too, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, wear white. She wears white. She began to tell him that if we're gonna do this, we're gonna have to do it in secret, because her brother, she's older than him, but her brother will tell the father, and it's just going to be worse for her when she gets home. Unfortunately, her brother found out, threatened to tell the father unless she ended things. She did, but then they started seeing each other again secretly a couple months later. At this point, all the women in the family are terrified of this man and the son, who I'm guessing was probably the favorite. Fucking shocker there. Seemed to be just as mentally deranged as his fucking father. When they start seeing each other again, they have a meetup at McDonald's, and they're there for about 4 to 5 hours. She tells the boyfriend she wants out. She wants out of her family, and either he's gonna marry her and take her out, or she's gonna leave herself. Dude's a little bit freaked out because obviously they're both still in high school. He doesn't have a job or a place to rent or anything like that. So he's like, you know what? Maybe you're kind of exaggerating. Maybe it's not as bad as you seem to think it is. But to prevent her from leaving and something even worse happening, he decides, okay, fine, let's just leave and see where it goes from there. Her family calls the police. So there is a recording of her brother calling the police saying she's missing, blah, 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 blah. Even though she's not missing, they know she left and they know the reason why she left. So the police called Amir's phone and said, we have a report here of a missing person, and said it's saying that you kidnapped her. He's like, I didn't kidnap her. She's my girlfriend and she left with me willingly. It was actually her idea. She, who was beside him, took the phone and said to the police, I was not kidnapped. I left because my family is extremely abusive. Police calls back the family saying, she's 19 years old. There's really nothing we can do about it. Sorry. I'm messing up so badly on this house right now. The daughter and the boy, I guess she and the boyfriend were staying maybe at a shelter or something like that. The mom showed up, started crying and saying, if it's your father that you're afraid of, I promise that we are going to figure everything out. Like, I'll leave him, I'll get an apartment, and it could just be us. Amir, I guess, felt really, really bad and encouraged her to go back home and try and sort things out with her mom, because he really honestly believed she wanted what was best for them at the time. He convinces her, to his ultimate regret, go home and try and figure things out. The father was in, I guess the father had gone back to like Afghanistan at the time, so that's why the mom was able to convince her. This is when the story gets really, really weird. 2 weeks later, they actually get married. She and Amir get married. Her mom and her brother pulls her out of the room and talk to her for 15 to 20 minutes. And to this day, no one knows the conversation that happened. No one knows what happened in the room. She just came out, she was crying, and she said to Amir, I love you, but I can't do this. I need an annulment. She wouldn't tell him what happened. No one to this day knows what was said between them. All the guy knows is that they talked to her for 10 to 20 minutes and she came out and she wanted an annulment. I believe the plans were already being put in motion here, because he came back and he was an entirely different person. Even she was worried, because she said no one can change who they are 50 years in a month. I really haven't talked about the other sisters yet. The other sister, 16 years old, kind of followed in the older sister footsteps. Like, she didn't run away from home with a guy, but she did have a boyfriend. She had a Hispanic boyfriend. She tried to keep a secret, but you know, things got out of hand. She used to also fight with her father a lot about him wanting her to wear a hijab, which she did not want to wear. Obviously, she's a teenager, she's in high school, she's going to start to rebel. So she wore a hijab when she left home, but as soon as she got to school, she would take it off, she would go to the washroom, put on heavy sets of makeup, she would be with her boyfriend. She realized that family members that were at school, so other like cousins and whatever, were telling on her. Basically, they were reporting back to her family saying, you know, this is what she's doing. Poor Zahar actually attempted suicide. So she mixed what she thought was a bunch of poison together and she drank it. She was missing from school for weeks. So the vice principal now is obviously getting like really suspicious. Teachers and the vice principal. The vice principal is like, no, like something is going on here. First the older sister, now the younger sister, like no, something. She calls child services on them. And this is where child services fucked up and failed these kids in so many different ways. When they had the kids alone, the kids were confessing everything. Zahir was confessing everything, talking about like her father, like the abusive situation she's living in, her brother, like everything. Please tell me why when social services, I don't know why they would send her back home with the parents, because obviously now, or tell the parents what's going on, tell them, you know what, we call child services and they're going to be at your house tonight, and send the kids back with them. So child services didn't end up getting to the home until Friday late that night, and obviously by that time the kids had change their stories. The kids are not going to be able to speak freely with their abusers right beside them. Social workers wrote, oh, it was just like a big misunderstanding. There's no need for us to further investigate or intervene. This went on for months. Like the girls would rebel. Shafia ended up actually collapsing at school. She'd been losing so much weight. The information wasn't given as to whether the family was starving her or what, or if it was caused by stress. But she was losing countless of weight. The vice principal kept calling. Every time social services got involved, again, the kid's story would change, and then they would be like, you know what, this just seems to be like a family thing, and we're not gonna get involved. Which I don't understand why, because that is your job. Your job is literally to get involved. Oh, look at my house. She lean, but she cute. Not much information was given on the youngest child, the 13-year-old. There wasn't much information given on her rebelling or anything like that. After the eldest one left her marriage and went back home, the father started being nicer to them. At this point, the plan had already been set in motion. Him and the son were looking up lakes, any bodies of water, like all kinds of hours of the night, all kinds of hours of the day, like lakes and rivers and anything that had to do with a body of water. And then on a specific date, how to get away with a murder was Googled on the computer. They told the kids and the first wife, because again, they killed the first wife too. So meaning she had she suspected that it was coming. The first wife, she would get an allowance of $50 a week. And with the allowance, because she wasn't allowed to use the phone in the house, with the allowance, she used to buy phone cards and call her family back home. She's like, I don't know what to do. I want to leave, but he tells me if I leave, he's going to kill me. She was genuinely afraid for her life. Her niece, who she used to speak to, used to be like, you know what? This is not Afghanistan. This is Canada. It's a very forward country. Trust me, you'll be fine. Nobody's really taking any of her claims seriously, because nobody really thought they would be crazy enough to try to do an honor kill. The father said that they're gonna go on a trip to Niagara Falls. They got 2 cars. He bought a brand new car. So the family had a Lexus beforehand, and he bought another car. I can't remember what the model of the car was. The first wife and the 3 girls are riding in that car. They left the motel in the middle of the night. Everybody's tired. They drive up to this where they told them to drive up to. Then the son, the father, and the first wife, Tobia. Let me wash my hands. The car that Mohammed, second wife Tobia, and the son was in, the Lexus, drove right into the Nissan Sentra, which had the first wife, Rona, and the 3 daughters in there. Pushes it over into the water. How their bodies is discovered is someone found it weird from the broken tail lights. When they came to investigate, it looked like a car had fallen in over. They sent a diver down there. The diver came back saying there's a possibility that there's multiple bodies down there. They went and got them out. Obviously, they informed the family. It's reported that the family had an appropriate reaction, although we can't really know what an appropriate reaction is to someone dying. Like, they cried, like, there wasn't anything weird about it, but there was something weird about the car and how the bodies were found. What also was weird is the fact the son had reported that the Lexus had gotten into an accident in an empty parking lot, that he ran into a pole and that it broke the headlights. Obviously, that's not how the headlights were broken. The headlights were broken when they rammed the car into the river. Police are obviously getting suspicious now, because if 2 + 2 is 4 and 4 + 4 is 8, what the fuck is this? Shit isn't adding up. They proceed to kind of trick them. When somebody is killed, they do leave a grief officer with the family to, make sure that, they're settling in, that they're getting everything that they need. Not settling in, but make sure that they're coping, or if they have any information. Also, I should mention that there was a gate in front of where the car was pushed, which is why a lot of these things didn't make sense. The first investigation was about the gate. Was the gate open? Was the gate closed? Because if the gate was closed, it would make it very hard for the car to go over, especially like ignoring all these warning signs and everything. So they were curious as to why the girls were in the car in the first place. Tobia said that she thought that the girls stole the car and went for a joyride, which honestly, if I was a cop, I could believe, but why would the first wife allow them to do that? She's a grown woman, an adult. She was like 51 years old. She wouldn't be in the car for a joyride with a bunch of kids. After they had confirmed that the gate was indeed locked, they brought in a specialist to investigate the size of the car and could another car had pushed them over, and the Lexus and everything. That's when everything started adding up. That's when 2 plus 2 did equal 4. They went and took pictures of the Lexus, make the model of the car, and then it started adding up like, this is the car that pushed the other car over. The family now are playing the part. They're grieving. Social media is all over it. They're eating it up at this point. They're letting social media and talking about, oh, yes, we're so grateful everybody has come by to help us through this difficult time. One of the lead investigators now, what he did was he went by the house and called them in. The investigators were out of options. They knew it was them, but they needed to catch them in a confession. They couldn't separate them and question them at different times because they all seemed to kind of have each other's back. They knew the son was really dedicated to his parents and he would never snitch them out. They went to court and asked for a wire to tap their car. The wire was approved. So what they did was they tapped their car and then they told the family, they called them in, and it was a 3-hour drive to the police station. They told them that there was a camera on the property and that they're trying to get the footage of what really happened. The police said he didn't really care if they believed him or not. He just wanted them to freak out and discuss it on the ride back home because it's a 3-hour ride. That's when they caught them. On that 3-hour ride, the family started talking about, oh no, everything's gonna be fine. They don't really suspect anything. I don't really think that they have a video. They already checked the area beforehand. Obviously there was no camera. They just wanted to freak them out. On this 3-hour drive back home, Muhammad starts freaking out and starts talking about, yes, if they came back to life 100 times more, he would kill them over 100 times again. If he had a machete in his hand, he would have done it with the machete. Son starts confessing in the car. You can hear Toba kind of feeling slightly remorseful, not towards her eldest daughter, but towards the other two. She was basically saying that Zainab was a lost cause and she kind of deserved to be dead, but she had hope for the younger two and she wished it could have been different. And husband's like, no, because this is not what daughters do. And because Zahar followed in Zabin's footsteps, the youngest one would have done the same thing. Within a couple hours after getting the recording, the cops were, boom, at their door, ready to arrest them. Toba's story starts changing. She starts crying. You can see in the interrogation room, her face is against the wall. They send somebody in there to talk to her. She kind of starts confessing up a bit, but she's saying that she didn't know. To this day, she retains her innocence. She's saying that she didn't know what was going to happen. She said she was in the car with them, and when Muhammad said he was going to kill them, she reached, I guess, from behind, because apparently she was seated behind him in the car, and tried to stop him, saying, no, there has to be another way. And her son, who was sitting beside her, took her hand in his gently and placed it on his lap and was saying, there is no other way. They were all charged with murder. Here's the thing that really fucking pissed me off. Nobody was surprised when it happened to this family. Nobody was surprised that it happened to these girls. The vice principal at the school wasn't surprised. The extended family wasn't surprised. The social workers weren't surprised. One of the head social workers said that she didn't believe in honor killing. She didn't think it was a serious thing. And from now on, they're going to be taking honor killings as threats and removing kids from the home. My thing is, there has to be an honor killing for you to think that it's a serious thing. And for that, I think that they should have been fired. Like, they shouldn't have been able to still continue in practice, especially with Zahar, because child services was called for Zahar on multiple occasions. When she fainted at school, when she was losing weight, when she confessed, when she broke down in tears and confessed everything to the teachers. Like, these are all things. These are all signs that the kids should have been removed from the home. If I'm a social worker and I've been called to this house on multiple occasions for the same issue, I'm going to remove the kids from the home. You will never get a clean confession from someone when they're sitting right beside their abusers. It's just not going to happen. Years of mental and physical abuse, it does not equate to, yes, help me while I'm here in their brain, while they're sitting right beside their abusers. It doesn't fucking work like that. On July 23rd, 2009, all three of them were arrested. On January 29, 2012, the verdict came back with a verdict, I think it was like less than 6 hours later, saying all three parties were guilty. All three were convicted of first-degree murder without a chance of parole for the next 25 years. So they're all in prison, but it doesn't speak on how the system failed these 4 women. I don't know if I did a good job or not, but this is my gingerbread house. Should I bite off a piece? It's actually not bad. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And I'll see you guys in my next Vlogtober video. Bye.